Recording is on.
All right, we are up and recording and ready this morning. How's everyone doing today? Pretty good. Today, our LisaBug yoga class is going to focus on posture. And thank you, Judith. I see that you're with me this morning. Great subject for us to focus on today. So it's going to be great for normal life as well as integrated into our yoga practice. If you have any questions at the end of class, I'd like to definitely do a little Q&A afterwards. So if you want to stay on and unmute your mics at the end and ask anything specific, that would be amazing. In terms of props today, at the end of class, I'm going to show you a restorative heart opener to really get good posture. If you have a couple of yoga blocks, those work great. Otherwise, a couple of towels, hand towels or regular bath towels would be good. And then I also have a strap as well as an option to use in some of the stretches. So let's just come into a nice comfortable seated position. And close your eyes and see if you can just internally find the best posture that you can find. Just noticing from the inside, there's no ability here to look at yourself in a mirror, to have that visual feedback of how you're actually sitting. So just feel that internally within your own body. And begin to focus on the breath, just a gentle flow in and out through the nose. Nice long spine. The front of the shoulders are broad and lengthened. The muscles in the backs of the shoulders gently engaged. So this morning we're going to talk a little bit about the physiology of what we call forward head position or upper crossed syndrome. So just blink your eyes open, and if you take a peek at the camera, we've all seen this position, somebody walking down the street with shoulders slumped and rounded and their head extended out. This happens because our activities of daily life tend to put us in this position where we're working over something. And then, for instance, if it's a computer screen, we start to look up, which gives us that rounded shoulders and then extended chin forward. So today our exercises are specifically going to be designed to bring us out of that rounded forward position and that forward neck. And this is involved with both stretching and strengthening. So as we begin, I want you to think of your chin pulling back in toward the back of your spine. So sometimes if you take your fingertips, this will help you to guide and tuck your chin back. You don't have to use your fingers, but the first couple times that might help you because it's a little bit of an awkward movement to bring the chin back. We're not dropping it, we're just retracting the chin. So at your own pace, with each breath you take, on an inhalation, let your chin glide forward a little bit like you're reaching it towards me, and then pull your chin back on the exhalation. Inhale, let your chin glide forward. Exhale and pull it back. Now, if you have a fairly pronounced forward head posture, you might feel like you don't have a lot of range of motion to do this chin tuck backward. So just take it to that nice, comfortable range of motion. You shouldn't feel any pain or discomfort in your neck. Also, as you're doing this chin tuck, Try not to let your shoulders elevate. There's always that tendency to fire the upper traps here. And we'll do one more. Glide the chin forward as you inhale. Pull it back as you exhale. And try to keep that chin tucked back. So another thing that happens with this upper cross syndrome is our shoulders round forward. So as you sit, just place the palms up right onto your knees. And imagine that I was going to take a measuring tape and measure the distance between the front of your shoulders, and then measure the distance between the back of your shoulders. And with upper cross syndrome, we start to shrink in the distance between the front of the shoulders and lengthen in the distance in the backs of the shoulders. So I want you to try to balance that out by gently broadening through the chest as you sit and feeling a connection in the back of the shoulders. Chin is still tucked in and broaden through the fronts of the shoulders. So each one of these pieces in posture, we're going to try to hold and layer on to the next level. So now that we have the distance between the fronts of the shoulders equal to the back, sometimes what happens is the bones of the arms start to inwardly rotate. So I want you to think about opening your arms out and rotating the bones of your arms back. It's difficult to do if our palms are down. That's why when we're working at a computer or driving our car, we start to roll the fronts of the shoulders downward. So try to pull them back. And I call this the L position. So pull your elbows right into your waistline and open up the fronts of the shoulders. Good. And then think of the heart lifting forward and upward slightly. So we're creating space right in the pecs in the front of the chest. So I want you to think of 3 letters, YWLT. YWLT. So our first exercise, I want you to take your arms up into a Y, so a big Y position, and then pull your arms back behind you as far as you can. So I'm retracting my shoulder blades, but again, try not to let the shoulder girdle itself elevate. So this is our Y, expand. Now as we hold this, depending on your flexibility, you might not be able to bring your arms back that far. So I want you to come to your edge, holding that Y position, and keep breathing in and out through the nose. So 2 things are happening. We're contracting right between the shoulder blades, and we're broadening through the fronts of the shoulders, bringing us into that beautiful posture, beautiful alignment. One more breath in, and exhale. Now start to lower your elbows a little bit. Our next letter is a W. So we make this W with our arms. Palms are facing forward. And I want you to pull your arms again back and slightly drop your elbows down. So we're creating tension right between the shoulder blades, not shrugging the shoulders up. And holding that as we breathe in and out. If you'd like to close your eyes and really feel this action, feel this experience. And is your chin still tucked back? Is the space between the fronts of your shoulders equal or maybe even greater now than the distance between the back of the shoulders? And those upper arms are externally rotated, not internally rotated. One more breath in. And exhale. Next letter is that L position. We did it before a little bit earlier. So we're bending the elbows about 90 degrees and you're pulling them towards your waistline. And imagine that you could get your elbows to touch each other behind your back. That's the intensity I want you to create. The chin is tucked in, the neck is relaxed, abdominals are tight, sitting tall. This should feel like some work. Should feel like you're just about ready to shake your arms out, but let's hold a couple more breaths here. One more breath in. Really retract those elbows. And exhale. Our last letter is a T. So try to keep that connection between your shoulder blades and then extend your arms straight out and pull the palms of your hands back. Now your thumbs need to either be facing up towards the ceiling or even rotated back. So I want to get this part of your shoulder to open up. So palms are not down, pulling back into that T position. So we have 4 letters. Y, U, not the letter U, the word you, as in you out there. U, and then the letter W, will, the letter L, live, and the letter T, taller. Let's relax those arms for just a moment. Take a couple shoulder rolls back and down. 4 letters. YWLT. You will live taller. It's a good way to remember these 4 exercises. So let's come up to Y. 3 breaths. Pull the shoulder blades back. Create tension through the middle of the upper back while we're freeing up the pecs. Breathe. Drop to W. Elbows pull back, shoulder blades drop down. Neck is still tucked, chin tucked in. L. Live. Try to touch your elbows behind your back. Lift your heart, broaden it forward. Try not to shrug your shoulders up. And our last letter, T, taller. Reach out, pull the arms back, or maybe even turn your palms up to the ceiling. One more time on each letter. The letter Y for the word you. 3 breaths. W. Will. L. Live. Tuck the chin. Pull those elbows back. T. Taller. Each one of these positions puts the arms and the shoulder girdle in a slightly different position to strengthen. And release it down. Good. Couple shoulder rolls back. You should feel some work there, maybe some heat. So if you are already experiencing this type of posture in your life, You will live taller if you do those 3 positions every single day. So let's talk about standing position. Come to a stand. And when we are walking or doing activities of daily living, maybe standing and cooking, again, we have our hands usually in front of us. Typically, we have our arms inwardly rotated. We're slumped in the shoulders, and oftentimes we're looking down. So I want you to think when you are going for a walk outside, as you walk, rather than looking at the floor to see what's in front of you, look up on the horizon. So I want you to take your eyes and think where the horizon is as the sun is setting. Now you can look down with your eyes to see if there's a pothole in front of you without dropping your head and rounding your shoulders. So when we do our practice today, we are going to look on the horizon with every pose. And if you need to look at the floor, just take your eyes down, not the rest of your head. Now think of creating the same space between the fronts of the shoulders and the back of the shoulders, and then turning your palms either to face forward or even out a little further with your thumbs behind you. Now, if you go for a walk today, I know this is going to feel a little awkward for you to walk with your arms like this, and it's going to look a little odd, but we can still let our arms do their regular action, but keep this part in this position. So I want you to think about that retraction. And let's do our 3 letters one more time here. Y. Pull back. W. L. T. You will live taller. Now, if we just let our arms float by our sides with the palms forward, this is our mountain pose. And in Western terms, it's known as the anatomical position. So everything we do starts from here. So holding this, pull your arms back a little bit further behind you and sit into chair. Now, oftentimes when we do chair pose, where are we? We're either here or here, which typically inwardly rotates the shoulders and lets this round forward. So for today, our chair pose is here with airplane arms. So to move in and out of chair today, begin to sweep your arms out, up, inhale. Exhale, sit into chair and pull those arms back behind you as if you're flying, broadening the fronts of the shoulders. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull back. So we are going to go from position Y to position W. Inhale Y, exhale W. One more time. Inhale T, pull back. Exhale L. Inhale T, exhale L. Now as you do this, your chin should also still be tucked. Let's do one more. T, pull your palms back, and L. Relax your arms into that anatomical position. Now let's step your right foot forward, your left foot back into a short stance, warrior one. So pointing all 10 toes forward, front knee is bent. We'll inhale, reaching up into Y, pull your arms back. 3 breaths, squaring off the hips. Bring those elbows down to W. 3 breaths, retract your chin. Squeezing those shoulder blades together and down. Bring those arms to L. Pull your elbows back towards each other. Retract, create tension, but not so much tension that your shoulders start to elevate. Keep them pressed down. And extend those arms out to T. Pull back. Thumbs are either up or even the palms of the hands up. Come to the anatomical position here in our warrior one, and then just pull your arms behind you. Airplane arms. So we can stay here, or I'd like you to start to tip forward into javelin. So the arms are back behind you, your body's at an angle. Lift off the back heel, find your balance and float that back foot off the floor. Now, why are we coming forward? Well, balance is wonderful to work on, but we have gravity here, so we can work the upper back. Set your foot back down, slowly drop it to the mat, and then bring your hands to your hips. I'm really going to try not to do heart center today because it emphasizes bringing our shoulders forward. But if you need to, just to relax, feel free to do that. But this will be our resting position today, just hands at the hips, broadening through the shoulders. All right, let's step the back foot forward and the front foot steps back into our short stance warrior one. Come up to the letter Y, lifting the arms wide, pull the shoulder blades back, pull the hands back, create as much space as you can and breathe, keeping the bandhas engaged. Now slide down to W. Is the chin coming forward? Tuck it in. Coming down to our L, the elbows are bent 90 degrees. We're trying to touch our elbows behind our back towards one another. I know it's impossible to do, so it's not something I'm thinking we need to get to, but that's the feel I want you to have in your body. And extend out to T, pull back. There's no tension in your neck, so if you need to move it around a little bit, just make sure it feels free and then tuck that chin back in. Check to make sure your eyes are on the horizon. If you need to look down at the floor, do so just with your eyes, not by dropping your head. Come back to the anatomical position with your arms. Pull them back behind you. You can stay here. We're going to shift into javelin. It's just a little bit of a diagonal position. Eventually the heel lifts off the mat and maybe even the foot. You're lifting the back of the arms up towards the ceiling. That leg doesn't have to lift high. This is our modification of warrior three. Step the foot back. Warrior one. And hands to the hips, shoulder blades back. Now come to a wide stance, just facing forward, toes turned out a little bit. Soften your knees and sit into a squat, dropping straight down and rising up. Squat, belly engaged. Come up to the Y position with the arms and sink and rise. Shoulder blades are pulled back. Try not to look down. The ground is there. No need to look for it. In my youth, I did gymnastics, and my gymnastics coach, when he was teaching me how to perform stunts like a back flip or a front flip, he taught me that wherever my head goes, the rest of my body follows. And it's so true. If you drop your chin down, the rest of your back will round forward. If you lift your chin up too high, your back will arch. If you look your head to the right, your body wants to turn right. And if you look with your head to the left, your body wants to turn left. So the head position is so important. Keep coming down into your squats. Bring your arms to your W. We're just sinking and rising. We need to teach ourselves to keep this retracted position as we're doing different movements in life, such as walking and activities of daily living. Even to some degree, when we're sitting at the computer, we can try to get this broadened position. And maybe even try that while you're here in W. Bring your hands out in front of you as if you were typing, and see if you can keep that broadening through the shoulder blades. Let's come to our L, pulling the elbows towards each other and back. So the squat is just a simple exercise that we can add while we're in our positioning of the arms, so we can start to learn how to do these two things at once. And come out to T. 3 squats. Pulling back. If your arms are getting tired, you can quit. Just do the legs or just bring hands to hips. One more time. And then hands come here to hips. Step the feet even a little bit wider. Right foot turns out for warrior one stance. Reach up to our Y, expand for warrior two. Sorry, did I say warrior one? Warrior two stance. Good. So I want you to think of your arms staying behind you as you move into side angle. Keep pulling this left arm back. And then as we come into our reverse warrior today, I want this arm to come into a Y, this arm to come into your L or your W. Looks a little different than we normally do, but I want you to think about those positions of the arms we've been doing and translate them to your yoga poses. And one more. Nice Y arm pulling back. And then your W or maybe the L arm, pull that elbow back. Both arms up into your Y. And your T, pull the elbows back. The whole entire arms expand through the chest. And hands to hips, so we keep the fronts of the shoulders broad. Press up with that right leg, turn the foot in, turn the left foot out. Warrior two in our Y arms stretch. belly engaged. To side angle. So we're trying not to round this forward and exacerbate that issue. We're opening it up. And then shift to our reverse warrior. We're pulling that elbow back to the waistline or behind the back. And we inhale. And we exhale. And one more time. And both arms extend up nice wide. Pull those shoulder blades back. And then come into your T. Retract. Chin is tucked. Abs engaged. And hands to hips. Straighten out that left leg. Turn both toes forward. Pull the shoulder blades back. Lift the heart. Lift the chin just slightly, but retract it. Try not to jut it forward. Lengthen the front of the body. One more breath. And coming back up. Good. Let's turn to the right and then transition to a downward facing dog, bringing the hands down to the floor. And then step back. Open up through the fronts of the armpits and broaden through the front of the chest. So try not to collapse all of that room that we've been making for the front of our body. And let your head relax here. Soften the knees as much as you need to. Let your heels drop down to the mat. One more breath in. Exhaling, drop your knees down to the mat. Come back into a nice child's pose and lengthen open the armpits. And then on an inhale, lifting back up, come to a kneeling plank. And then let your pelvis drop down towards the floor and lift your heart forward. And I want you to think about retracting the backs of the shoulders. So this is a kneeling up dog. Nice long spine, and tuck your chin in. Try not to let it come out forward, but retract it back. And start to bend your elbows, keeping them close to your sides as you slowly lower the belly down to the mat. And then keeping the palms of the hands on the floor, but without pushing down in the hands. Keep the nose of the back connected by pulling those shoulder blades back. And we're not overemphasizing lifting the head up. I want you to tuck your chin, keep the back of the neck long. Now with the breath, as you exhale, let your upper body come down. And then inhale, lift with the strength of the back to come up. Exhale, lowering down. So training us to come out of forward head posture or upper cross syndrome involves a lot of strengthening in the upper back. So it's not just about stretching those areas that are tight. We need to strengthen the areas that are weak. So you can continue to do this action with your hands down on the floor, where we are going to try to bring the fingertips up to the forehead, lowering down and lifting up. So a little bit more work here because you're picking up the weight of your arms as well as the head. And then even a little bit more advanced would be to bring the fingertips behind the head, lift, or right next to the sides of the head, and try not to round the shoulders forward. And one more. Rest the hands down. Give yourself a nice push back to take a counter stretch in child's pose. Now glide back to hands and knees position and take, let's see, for you, I think it might be your left arm. I'm going to try to mirror you. For me, it's my right. I want you to put the hand to the back of the head and then rotate and try to point your elbow up to the ceiling and then come back down just to neutral. So we're pulling this back. This is similar to when we do thread the needle and we're going through with the arm, but I want you to try it with this bent elbow. And then just coming to neutral. This is about strengthening the back muscles into this posterior rotation. 2 more. Rotate. Try to point that elbow up. And 1 more. Let's do that same thing to the other side. Fingertips either behind the head a bit or at the temple. Rotate, pull up, 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 and then back to neutral. And I don't want you to drop this elbow down. I want you to keep it retracted back. Pull. So we're going to have the option to do this exercise actually laying on our belly, which will be a little bit more difficult. So I wanted you to have a prior option to come back to. If it's not feeling appropriate for you today, you can come back to this kneeling position. Chin is still slightly tucked, but not dropped. 1 more. And then hands come down. So doing this from the belly, let's lower ourselves all the way down again. Fingertips are next to the temple. And then just rotate, same thing. This elbow comes up. Same side again for 5 reps. So your upper body is slightly lifted as we add our rotation. There's some action in your legs. Chin is tucked. We're exhaling into that twist 2 more times. Rotate. And 1 more. And then let's just take a little bitty break because sometimes the neck gets tired here. Rest your forehead onto your hands. 2 breaths. And then back into our position. Chest is slightly lifted. We rotate the opposite direction without shrugging the shoulders. Exhale. Nice and slowly. The more time under tension of this muscle work, the quicker we can strengthen these areas in our body. 2 more. And last one, rotate. And come down and rest the head. All right, we're going to do a side lying stretch for the shoulders. So take your arms out into our T position. So you're reaching them out long. And then using one hand, we're going to roll ourselves over onto the side, which will stretch the shoulder that's back underneath me. I can keep this hand on the floor so that if it's feeling like too much stretch, I can roll my body back, or I can balance here onto the legs, and then maybe even lift this hand up off the floor. So I can scoot over here just a little bit more. So this hand can come up, and then I can give myself a T arm. I'm pulling back. I've got that palm rotating up. Let's hold here 3 more breaths. Head is neutral, so I'm not letting it relax. I'm using the strength of my head to keep it up in neutral. 1 more breath. And then slowly we bring this hand back down to guide your body back over to your belly. And then adjust to the other side. So this arm is slightly below the level of the shoulder. I press myself over to that side. And then if you have balance, lift this arm up into your T arm position. Neutral head. Make sure you're not feeling too much stress in the shoulder that you're stretching on the bottom. You don't have to roll clear over to your side. 1 more breath in. And then place that hand, guide your belly back down to the mat. Coming into locust pose, take the hands back and your palms are actually going to face the floor. So I want you to just come into a nice relaxed palms down position. What happens if we turn our palms up? The shoulders roll forward and we get again out of that nice externally rotated shoulder position. So turn your palms to face the floor and then try to keep turning until your palms face forward as you lift up and then pull the backs of your arms up towards the ceiling. This is that javelin arm position, anatomical position laying on our belly. Let's hold here 3 breaths. The legs can lift as well. Strengthening the back, tuck the chin. 1 more breath. Legs lower, palms come right underneath the fronts of the shoulders. Press yourself up, back to child's pose. Stretch the fingers out towards the top of your mat. That's extended child's. And then rising up, we'll come to a stand to work on a standing forward fold. And if you have a strap or a scarf or a necktie, something like that works really great for this next position. So step up to your feet and then bring the strap behind your back. And I'd like you to separate it as much as you can in order to lift your arms high back behind you. So sometimes if we're just here interlacing our hands, we're not able to lift our arms and our shoulders are still rounding forward. So I want you to be able to get your arms wide enough to lift them high and open through the heart. Now, if you'd prefer not coming into forward fold, I want you to stay upright just as you are. Or we will bow this forward by softening the knees, coming into our chair pose in airplane arms, and then start to drop the belly down towards the thighs and keep lifting your arms up. Now you can straighten the legs as much as you feel comfortable. And ideally, if we have a pretty good range in our shoulders you'll start to notice that gravity begins to pull your arms closer to the floor over your head. So the arms have gone maybe beyond vertical, and then gravity is helping to pull them away from you. Relax your neck. Just ever so slightly retract the shoulder blades behind you. Let the arms keep lifting, soften the muscles. 3 more breaths. And then keeping those arms up, begin to bend your knees. Once you drop your hips down, lift your chest up so we come back through our chair pose. And then press through the feet to stand. Relax. We're going to do some shoulder threading. So you want to have your strap long enough to be able to get your arms to circle in front of you and then behind you. So we have them here, shoulder blades are back. We're going to lift and then open. So I can't get them back to go all the way behind me. So I'm going to undo my strap to give myself a little bit more length. And then try it again. Bring it up, around. There we go. And I just want you to go slow. So if you don't have a strap, I just want you to broaden your arms into your Y, pull them back, stop here, pull them up and around again. Slow. I don't want you to feel any strain or any pain. Let's do 2 more. So over time, you could maybe have your strap and see how far you can go, and then see if you're making any strides in your range of motion. Now lifting straight up, hold here in our Y arms and take a side bend over. And what do you feel? I'm really feeling more in my lats right underneath the armpit. Making sure I'm not rounding this forward here and looking down. Eyes are still on the horizon. Breathing into the side waist. Inhale, come up. Exhale, side bend the other way. And we can certainly do this without the strap, but having the belt here really helps us to find that connection in this Y position. Otherwise, we tend to fall out of it and lose the correct shape of the stretch. And come back to center. Let's hold 1 more Y. Pull the arms back. Tuck the chin. And then let the arms float down. And release your strap. So we are going to build our restorative heart opener. So if you have 2 blocks, and a lot of times we don't have that at home, but I want to show it just in case you do, you would take 1 lengthwise and 1 so they're actually forming a little bit of a T. So if you don't have 2 blocks, your option is to take a couple of towels, and I'm going to roll them. One is going to take the place of this block down the center of the mat. And then the other one, I'm going to shape into a pillow, maybe by folding it a couple of times. And it's up to you. The shape of your back is going to dictate how much of a lift you're going to need for a pillow. So we are going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana with these props. If you don't have them, that's okay. You'll just lose a little bit of the extra opening through the heart. So take your time to come down onto your back. This towel or block that's down here through the center will go right between your shoulder blades. The one that's here behind will just support your head. And it's okay if your head is extending back a little bit, that's fine. So just roll yourself back, get that towel or block right between your shoulder blades. Open your arms into a goalpost position, or if they're not touching the floor here, then you need to come into your airplane arms with them right by your side, palms facing up. And then let your knees fall open with the soles of the feet together. So the higher the towel or block is between the shoulder blades, the more you're going to get this beautiful stretch through the heart. And we've been opening this up for probably at least 45 minutes now. So this should feel nice and open. But we've also been doing this by activating the muscles of the upper back, and they're a little bit tired. So we're just going to hold this with no work. Just complete relaxation. You can kind of experiment where your arms are. You can even stretch them up to a Y, bring them down to a W. Try your L, which is really difficult here laying on your back, or a T. Just experiment with which one you'd like to stay in, or every few breaths you can change. And then we'll bring our awareness to the breath. For most of us, we have been moving into faulty posture for years and years and years. So can we, in one yoga class, correct the faulty posture that we have? It's not likely, but we create a foundation that we can build upon, that we can move either towards correcting our posture or at least maintaining the posture that we have and not allowing it to become any worse. If we're in a forward head position, for every 1 inch that our chin juts forward, it adds 10 pounds to the weight of our head on our cervical spine. And that's a lot for those little tiny vertebrae in the neck. So even here, slightly retract your chin. Soften the muscles in the upper back and shoulders. Let the chest open up, expand. Maybe even bring your breath into your heart. Filling your heart like a balloon as you inhale. And collapsing it with a complete exhalation. If your inner thighs are uncomfortable in this position, we'll just slowly extend the legs out, or you can just bend your knees, set your feet on the floor, create a little bit more distance between your feet, and let your knees drop towards to touch. That's typically a nice, comfortable place for your lower back. And we're remaining here just a little bit longer. Maybe trying a different position of the arms for a moment. And just notice, observe the sensations, the feelings in your body. Your arms should feel very heavy. The chest feels light and lifted. So a good amount of time to hold a restorative heart opener like this would be a minimum of 8 minutes, maybe somewhere between 8 and 15 minutes, if you have that time in your day to devote to working on your posture. Now, thinking about how you'd like to move out of this pose, a good way is to just bend the knees, set your feet down, lift your hips up, shift them to one side, and then just roll yourself off of the block or the towel till you're in a sideline position. And then use the strength of your arms to press yourself back up where we began in seated. You will live taller. One more time for each of our letters. Y, W, L, T, and relax. Palms up, hands on your knees, sitting tall, focusing on good posture, good alignment, and close your eyes. And then we'll press those palms together in Anjali Mudra, but retract your elbows just a little bit backward, your shoulder blades backward, as we pause to celebrate our practice today. And the light and peace that resides within me honors the light and peace in each of you. Namaste. All right, I'd love to open it up for questions, and maybe I will just maybe keep the recorder on for just a little bit in case anyone has a question. That might be nice to keep it rolling. Let's see here. Anybody, what did we think? I see someone in the chat box there. Hi, Linda. All right.
I thought it was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
Right. Does it feel okay though, Esther? I feel a little tender even, like right through here. Like I can really feel like I get deep into those tissues.
Yeah, and I do have that head forward posture, so that's something I really appreciate working on.
Good. Awesome. And is Judith there? Judith, did you have anything particular?
No, this is really helpful. I can see I have a lot of work ahead of me.
Okay.
I'm farther along than I thought I was in a good way, but I have a ton to do, a ton of work.
Okay. I hope that gives you some good things to work on.
It does. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the suggestion. So anybody else have any observations or specific questions?
Just that was great, and I agree, it's a great suggestion.
Good, good, awesome. Well, I'd like to hear a report and see how everybody's feeling with it in the next days to come if you get a chance to work on it a little bit from time to time. All right, and on Thursday, yoga by the pool. If anybody wants to come, I think the weather's looking good. Shoot me a little email and let me know that you're coming, and come practice with me. We're going to do twists, and then Linda wants some low back. So Linda, yeah, I'll put some of that in there for you. Sound good? All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
My pleasure. You're welcome.